Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. It was called Eriga. And as it starts, Discovery jumps to Mal and Locke's location to find that they've been apprehended by Starfleet. Book seems to think that they might know something that it would be important for Starfleet to know about what they're looking for, the progenitor tech, and that he can get that information out of Mal. I don't know why that would be the thinking, because they are 2 clues behind Discovery and they don't have any idea where to go next. So why they would know anything is beyond me. But anyway, Mal and Locke are beamed to Discovery's sickbay, in which Locke is apparently still wounded after being transported, which I guess makes sense since Starfleet would not have had a pattern record of his uninjured self. Admiral Vance then tells Michael that the Breen are coming for Locke and expect him to be handed over, and then orders Discovery to jump away so that there's no way the Breen can get a hold of him and learn about what he's been chasing. But Michael convinces him to just let them come and negotiate with them rather than run from them, and cause them to chase them and wreak havoc along the way, ultimately resulting in a confrontation anyway, which makes sense. But why did it take Michael Burnham to bring that up to the Admiral for that to be the strategy that Starfleet was going to go with? Like, again, it's just, and I hate to harp on this because I didn't always see it. And I'm not sure I see it all the time now either, but it damn sure made it look in this episode like she's the only one who has all the answers. She's the one who always knows the best thing. I don't know. I don't see why they had to put that scene in. Anyway, at a meeting between the Admiral, Michael, Commander Rayner, and the president of Not Vulcan, who is in charge of negotiations with the Breen in place of the president of the Federation, who's off doing something else, and apparently in place of Saru, which makes no sense. I mean, I don't know. I guess she's more experienced as a diplomat, but they made this whole story arc for Saru this season about him being a diplomat, and he's done absolutely nothing diplomatic except like one meeting where he solved the problem in like 2 seconds. We've not seen him all season really doing anything in his new position, and here they had a perfect opportunity. Nope, they don't use him. Like, why? It's just so stupid. Anyway, at the meeting, after Rayner shoots his mouth off out of frustration with the Federation's less than aggressive posture plans, it's decided that Mal and Locke need to be interrogated for information that might help Starfleet successfully negotiate with the Breen. In sickbay, Locke is being treated for his wounds behind a force field with the use of a converted medical bed that has parts from a Breen refrigeration unit hooked up to it in order to facilitate healing. Michael interrogates both Mal and Locke there, and it turns out that the Breen Primarch wants Locke because he can't ascend to the throne of the Breen Imperium without him, since he is of the bloodline, a direct descendant of the monarch. After determining that they need to find a specific ancient text in order to figure out where the next clue is, Adira and Tilly seek the help of Commander Reno to try to locate the text, because it turns out that she has prior experience with ancient manuscripts. Just as Reno agrees to help them figure out where they can find it, a gigantic Breen ship arrives at Federation headquarters, and it's the same ship that destroyed the Federation headquarters in the alternate future that Michael saw a few episodes back. The Breen then demand that Locke and Mal be turned over to them, but the president stalls them in order to give Michael time to figure out how to use the information she got about who Locke is in order to get the Breen to leave peacefully. Michael learns that Rayner lost his whole family to the Breen when they controlled his planet years ago, so she asks him for information that might help them get this Primarch to turn tail, which she seems to get. Reno tells Tilly and Adira that they should look for something called the Archive, which might have the book, but that it also moves location constantly. Locke tells Mal that he's going to get the containment field, keeping them both in sickbay dropped with some kind of ploy or other, so that she can make a run for it and try to steal a shuttle and then beam him aboard so they can take off. Several Breen soldiers beam in to Federation headquarters, and the Federation tries to get them to believe that they've made a deal for Locke with another Breen Primarch. And they tell them that they should let them keep Locke to give the Breen the time to defeat the other Primarch, to prevent Starfleet from giving Locke to them, on the idea that if they start attacking, Discovery can just jump away. And the Breen agree to it, even though that's dumb, because all they would have to do is keep attacking Federation worlds and Federation bases until the Federation relented and handed them over, at which point the Primarch could worry about the other Primarch at his leisure. So it's just dumb that they went along with it. Locke puts his escape plan into motion by managing to deliberately overdose himself with whatever treatment he's been given, since it was somehow at his control, And it does indeed get the force field lowered so that the doctor can tend to him, at which point Maul takes out 2 fully trained Starfleet security officers, the doctor, also a trained Starfleet officer, and security lead officer Nan in hand-to-hand combat, allowing her to make her escape. Book touches a piece of metal that came along with the last clue in order to try to get some feelings off of it since it was created by a Betazed, and since he's a telepath. And he comes up with some vague notions about a plasma nebula. Since Locke is in bad medical shape now, Michael gets the Breen to come in with their own medic to try to help him. Book and the security chief confront Maul as she's trying to escape, and it's funny because they have to take cover from her when she fires towards them with a phaser, and my question is, with all the technology that they can emit from their fancy badges, why can't they emit personal shields like the Borg could 1,000 years ago? Just doesn't make sense, right? Anyway, Book convinces Maul that she should go back to sickbay to be with Locke because he's not doing well and may die, after he way overdosed himself to try to make it so she could get away, and she then is in fact with him when he dies, which the Breen threaten will now trigger a war. 4 Starfleet ships show up as the Admiral declares a red alert. With Locke dead, Maul reveals that they were married and that this obligates the Breen to take her with them as one of their own. And then she spills the beans about the progenitors tech and tells the Primarch that she can get it for them, at which point they will no longer need anything else to ascend to the throne. And nobody raised a phaser to stun her or beamed her away before she could complete the bean spilling because discovery. Over Book's objection, the Federation actually hands her over after the Breen didn't immediately grab her and beam away, which why would they not? But why was Book even in the meeting regarding this? Like, he's not Starfleet. Like, why was he in the meeting? It just doesn't make any sense. Before the episode ends, we see that it turns out that between Book, Adira, Tilly, and Commander Stamets, Discovery now knows where to go to find the archive, where apparently they're going to find the next clue, or a clue to it, and they prepare to jump there. So there were things I liked about this episode. It was a good depiction of a standoff between the Federation / Starfleet and the Breen. It was very full of strategy and tense moments and cat and mouse stuff, you could say. And I liked the stuff with Rayner when he got out of hand again, and then we got to see why, and then he kind of, falls back into line yet again, which is getting a little old now, but I think it's good that they have this foil for Michael, that she's constantly trying to keep him in line, and his sort of style is butting heads with hers because that's what she always did. And so it's good to have that flip-flopped, and I think it creates good tension points for the audience to chew on and for the audience to sort of figure out which side of the particular issue at hand they are on. I think that's good stuff. But there was, again, a lot of dumb in this episode. Like, why would the Breen have gone along with that suggestion? Because essentially it was, you need him to ascend the throne, so let us hang on to him instead of giving him over to this other Primarch that we've made an arrangement with, which was a bluff, so that you can go deal with that other Primarch and then come back and get Locke. Why would you fall for that? Why wouldn't you just say, no, give him to me and I'll go deal with the other Primarch? Because he does say, I'll give you more than whatever they've offered you. But then they give him this counteroffer and he goes for it, and it doesn't make any sense. Also, why the moment Maul started telling the Breen, hey, look, Starfleet's hiding something from you, they're chasing down this. And then why wasn't she phasered right at that moment? Why wasn't she beamed away? Computer, beam Maul to the bridge. Computer, beam Maul to the brig. Why did everybody just stand there and let her spill the beans? Ridiculous. And why, once that happened, did they say, okay, we're going to leave now and just make sure you give her to us in 5 minutes? Why wouldn't they just have grabbed her and beamed away immediately? It doesn't make any frickin' sense. Beyond that is the fact that the whole setup for the episode doesn't make sense because, as I said at the end of my review last week, when they showed that they were going to jump to where Maul and Locke were, why? I guess you could argue that they knew too much and Starfleet didn't want them spilling the beans to everyone, but they never say that. So it's like, why are they going to where they are? Why do you care? Even if they did spill anything to the Breen or whoever else, which Maul eventually did, she doesn't know how to get to the thing. She's missing the last two clues. All they can do is track Discovery. And to combat that, Starfleet can easily give the mission to another ship. Now, the other ship won't have a spore drive, but do they need it? They're the only ones with the clue. Starfleet. You know, the most current clue. And the updated information on where the thing is. And no one else can now get it because they possess it. So why did they bother going? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Their part in the story should have ended the minute Discovery got two clues ahead of them. Unless they were going to show them try to steal the clues from Discovery, which they didn't do. It doesn't make any sense. This episode is a part of the story that would not have happened. This episode should have been Discovery going after the next clue, while Locke and Maul wound up captured by the Breen and trying to convince them that they know a way to get this technology, and convincing the Breen to go after Discovery in order to get it. And it should have taken place in two places, on Discovery and on a Breen ship. That's what would have made sense. And I guess maybe they're going to do that next week. But, you know, it's like it's literally done to spread out the season to 10 episodes. So I don't know. I don't know what's in store in the next 3 episodes, but I guess we'll find out. I'm going to get out of here for now. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.